Good morning, all you fabulous people. I just wanted to do a market update since we got the next set announcement of Flesh and Blood. It is part the Mistveil. And I'm going to read this little blurb because I think it's very insightful for what I have in store here. For 10,000 years, our ancestors have walked the path well traveled. Like the tiger stalking its prey, they have waited. Like the snake hiding in the murky water, they have waited. Like the waning faces of the moon, they have waited until now. The truth lies beyond the mist. And then they got this gorgeous art of a white-haired lady walking into the water. More on that just here in a couple slides. Actually, let's start off with that. I personally think, looking at the art, let's see if I can zoom this. This is Amira Serrana. She's in a few arts of the illusionist cards, Flicker Trick and Fractal Replication, namely, but I think also Singularity, or not Singularity, Spears of Surreality. But I think that kind of confirms she looks exactly like Amira. But to tie that in, I think the moon is illusionist class, the snake is assassin, and tiger is like ninja. And the reason I think that is because their dynasty cards are all very similar to these descriptions. Ninja, we've kind of always known tiger, especially with the new Ira and Tiger Stripe Shuko. There's always been a kitty build of some kind. Snake, I think this is just kind of based off of the arts of the assassin. I think it's kind of named off of that, as well as assassins just kind of wait in the shadows and wait to strike for the right moment. And then illusionist, obviously they kind of make their decoys and wait for you to step up or mess up, and then they strike as well. That's just my theory. A lot of people have been saying the waning faces of the moon is also tying to waning moon, the wizard weapon. I have a weird feeling that they wouldn't do wizard, ninja, and assassin, because assassin and ninja I think are all but guaranteed. The illusionist is, I would say, 60% chance. Wizard just kind of steamrolls assassin and ninja from my understanding. So I don't think that really fits the rock paper scissors style of Flesh and Blood. I do think illusionist fits that very well. I think illusionist does well into ninja because they don't have any poppers. I think assassin does well into illusionist because they have poppers as well as disruption. And I think ninja, but yeah, I think there's a rock paper scissors style here that they've kind of been going for. All right, anyway, let's start off with illusionist since that's what I think we're going. Phantasmaclasm is a fantastic card for illusionist, especially one that's more phantasm based, which it may or may not be, but 50 cents for a 9 attack that lets you filter a card from your opponent's hand is pretty good, as well as getting the information of what's in your opponent's hand. It blocks 3 as well. I think this is just a great card. That's if it's a more blue heavy focus build or a more non-go again style, I think this just fits in perfectly. I was running these in Dromai for a while because I really liked the card. Flicker Trick, similarly, I think is good. My problem with this is heavy hitters. It gets popped. It has Mirage instead of Phantasm, but it's a good D-React, especially good in Ninja, and it's really good in anybody that can't do a 6 or more attack. A 0 for 5 block is kind of unheard of, and this is $1. I think this is good just to pick up a playset. I think it was a sideboard card for a while in Dromai, maybe still is. I could see it also being in Prism, but I think it's a good card, and definitely worth almost $3 for a playset. Phantasmal Symbiosis. This card is kind of nuts in Prism mainly, but I could see this also being good in any kind of illusionist that maybe tries to sneak in a non-illusionist attack to make them illusionists. But the new Prism and Blitz, this allows you, before the new Luminaris, you could use old Luminaris with this and name the Figment Angels as illusionists until the end of the turn, just one of them. And then that attack would have go again. So you could do like attack with the Figment of Protection, banish a card, and get two Spectral Shields, and then attack with all the Spectral Shields, and then still attack with another couple things from your hand with new Luminaris. I think this is a great card for $1. I do think this maybe doesn't make it into CC, but I think there is a chance that the new Illusionist Amira maybe does something with non-Illusionist cards, or her cards kind of phase in and phase out of Illusionist. But I think it's a good card for $1, especially in Blitz with New Prism. Fractal Replication. This is more a spec just off the art. I think that's Amira again. If she's gonna be in the set, chances are she probably runs her card. This card is really interesting. When you play or defend with it, it gains gains the abilities and effects of an illusionist attack action cards on the combat chain. So it can allow you to maybe do some kind of weird popper stuff. It can also allows you to attack for 0 for like 9 if you give Phantasmoclasm go again, or that kind of stuff. It's an interesting one. Once again, for like $3 for a playset, I think this isn't a bad idea. Everfest Majestics, once they go, they become in a deck, they easily become $10 to $20. Just look out for this. I would have your playset just in case. $3 isn't a bad risk. The downside is very minimal. The upside is very high. Lost in Thought, similarly, I think this card is a good card. I just don't think it's too slow. It does create a Ponder token, but I think in a ward-based, slower illusionist, this card could see some more play again. It saw play in Dromai for a while, namely the red line trying to filter poppers out of their hand. But it's an okay card. It's got go again, and for $6 for a playset, I think this, for potentially getting in a deck, this could be easily $5 to $20 depending on how good it is. Phantom Tidemaw. This is an expansion slot card from Bright Lights, and what we can learn from expansion slot cards is they always are trying to go towards somewhere in the future normally, or give a current hero a boost. And this one didn't really give a current hero a boost. So whenever an Illusionist card you control is destroyed, put a +1 counter on this. It has Phantasm. It has Ward 1. I think if we have a ward-based Illusionist, this could be really good, where you balance out your wards, and this could become slowly like a Ghostly Touch kind of turn. It is an instant as well, so you can play this out of hand at like into your opponent's turn, or on your turn at when something gets popped, that kind of stuff. Really cool card. The art and the foiling on this one is really great. I think this one's being bought up already currently. Tons have been bought because they're only about $1. Yeah, so I could see this being used, and I think they are going for a ward style. A lot of the Illusionist support in the past few sets have been ward. Similarly, Diadema Dream State. The rainbow foil is about $10. I still think this is a pretty decent price for a legendary. I think I have a couple extra copies. I think $10 is still a buy. The cold foil has gone absolutely crazy. It's basically sold out. $60 for a lightly played, $75 for a near mint, and then it goes to $165. I don't think it stays there, but there's been a ton of sales. A ton of sales. Wow. And this was like $20-$30 a week ago. This supports the ward style gameplay. Creating a Ponder token for 1 resource is pretty strong. Just keep an eye out on this. I would say wait on the cold foil, buy the rainbow foil at this point. Phantasmal Footsteps, I think, is pretty much an auto-include in everything but Redline Dromai at this point. Being able to get an extra action point off a pop is great, so your turn's just not ended. I think, especially with award-style gameplay, will yield these as well. The Rainbow Foils are about the cheapest they've ever been, which is kind of crazy considering the announcement. I'd watch out for these. I think the reason these aren't being just bought like crazy is because they're so expensive currently. Their lowest they were was about 120 for the Rainbow Foil, and so I think 130 off of this announcement. I'd pick these up now before they go crazy. Just look at Valiant Dynamos. I think these have another. These can probably end up in $200 if they get an official Illusionist announcement, and the cold foil, 190. I don't really recommend the cold foil. I still think it's a little bit overpriced, but this probably goes to like 275, because these have been 300 forever. I guess these are the cheapest they've ever been as well by a good $30 or so. So I guess if you're in the market for the cold foil, I'd go for it. Moderately played, I would say probably pass that one. On to Ninja, specifically Tiger Ninja. I think Tiger Stripe Shuko is a great pickup, especially for Tigers. +1 and can't prevent, or damage that would be dealt by this attack can't be prevented. Really good into Illusionist. $30 for a lightly played, not bad. $30 for a Rainbow Foil, I think is also still pretty good. The cold foil, I think cold foil is still like $40-50. It's been around there for a while. I'd pick up these two here shortly. I think they're just lagging. I think there's a ton of sales on these two. I think there was just a ton on the market. Still think there's a few to pick up before it goes crazy. Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. Let me refresh this because there's been tons of sales on this one. Okay, it's still 21 for lightly played, 26 for near mint. This card I think is it's good, and this was about $10 before yesterday. It's a good looking cold foil. I think it's when attack action card you control hits, you may destroy Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. If you do, search your deck for an attack action with 2 or less power, banish it, then shuffle it, then you play it. You may play it this turn. I think this is really good if they do an adult Benji. I'm not saying they are going to, but adult Benji would be nasty with this. Bringing out Spring Tidings on a turn, and then just off of multiple Tigers, and then just basically ending the game. Just keep an eye out on that. We already covered the Shuko. All right, we're back to Assassin. I think Azuri is probably in the new set. I think she's probably the one of, if not the only, old hero to make an appearance here. $4 for her spec is really good. Her spec's also really good. Mask of Perdition for the non-foil, $3, I think is a good pickup, especially if you're more Arachne focused and going more to the fatigue style. This card was pretty hard to pull in Dynasty, namely the Rainbow Foil and the Cold Foil. But $3 for a non-foil is not bad for a piece of equipment that's pretty strong. Black Tex is pretty much the cheapest it's ever been. I highly recommend picking up the Rainbow Foil. Cold Foil is about 70. I think that's a little bit over where it was, but the Rainbow Foil I feel like still hasn't gotten that inflated yet. Keep an eye on this. I think this is an auto-include in pretty much every assassin because you can give your stuff go again when it hits. Infiltrate is the only stealth card. Only stealth majestic. I have a slight feeling, in this, I could be entirely wrong, that they bring out Arachne Solitary Confinement adult hero. Brian Gottlieb made a side comment in one of the more recent interviews that they didn't have enough resources at the time of Outsiders to make Arachne Solitary Confinement adult hero. He just became young. They couldn't balance test him really or anything. But it sounded like he wanted to. So I would be shocked, or not shocked. I kind of could see that being one of the second assassin there, Azuri, and then Arachne Solitary Confinement. Infiltrate's really good card. Playset under $3, I think is a good pickup. Spreading Plague. This card is one of my most fun cards from Outsiders. It, especially with Assassin kind of baiting out blocks, and namely Azuri too. Creating Blood-Brought Pucks tokens for how many cards are blocking on the chain is just disgusting. And doing it for one resource is pretty darn good. I just look out for this card. $6 for a playset, I think, is a steal. Scale Peeler, I think, especially in after heavy hitters, this card is great, especially for the non-foil. $1.34. This shuts down Valiant Dynamos. It really eats into people's fridge. I think it's really good into the heavy hitters heroes, as well as some of the other heroes that have a lot of equipment block. Nerve Scalpel, also pretty good into heroes like Kasai, Betsy with Pummel, Assassins, maybe even Ninja. Some of the Ninjas are getting more attack reactions. But this also does defense reactions as well as attack reactions. So $2 for this seems pretty good. Arachne Huntsman, I think naturally with an assassin set, Arachne's going to get more support. He's going to be good. And where else can you buy an adult cold foil hero for $20? I think this is a steal. It was an Armory promo, don't get me wrong. But an adult cold foil is hard to come by, and they're very typically they have a very unique and hard to get vibe. This is probably one of the easier ones to get, but still, I think this is a pretty decent card for, or pretty decent spec for a card. $20 for a cold foil hero is hard to pass up. Similarly, Arachne the Young cold foil. I believe this was also an Armory promo, if not maybe a skirmish win, or it was definitely a lower event win, but for $20 for a Young seems pretty good as well. This one's rarer than the adult Arachne, I believe. Watch out for that. What does Assassin like to do? They like to create tokens a lot of the time. Inertia, Frailty, Bloodrock, and even Ponder occasionally. I think these cold foil pre-release tokens that are double-sided are really good for $3. They're also gorgeous. They're one of my favorite cards or promos I've gotten from Armory since I've started playing. I really like these. I've kept mine, and I will keep mine. I like having cold foil tokens. It's nice to have those little bling pieces that stay on the board. Frailty by itself. This was a promo for a bigger event. Same with Blood Rot. I need to look it up. I need to do better at looking these up. But $11 for just a cold foil Frailty seems pretty good. My personal preference is to get the double-sided ones because they serve dual purpose and they're both cold foil as well. These are just extended arts. The same thing, double-sided token, Blood Rot, and Frailty. This one I think is probably the better one of the versus the Ponder versus Inertia, because it's being used more often. Inertia is hardly ever used, and Ponder is rare to get in Assassin. But so I'd get this one over the other one if you had a choice. Blood Rot Extended Art, $10 again, I think is a good pickup if you play. I really liked playing Arachne Solitary Confinement, Blood Rot, just full Blood Rot, running the Codex, running Spike with Blood Rot, everything. And it was a lot of fun. Called it Disease Arachne. That's it for the new specs on the three classes that I think are coming into part the Mistveil. But things have cooled off here a little bit in heavy hitters world. Namely, Scabskin's Letters, a lightly played one for 46 seems like a pretty good deal. A near mint for 50, so they've cooled off about $5-10 depending on which one you get here. I'd keep an eye out on this, and that's not the only brute stuff that keeps going down. Blood Rust Bellow has come back down from its $7 to $8 price tag to about $4 to $5. I think this is a great pickup. Again, this was about what it was before the KO hype took over. I think if you're needing a set, now's the time to get these again. Swing Big has cooled way down, back to $20 a copy. It's been a while since it's been down to $20. It was $30 a couple weeks ago, and the rainbow foil is about $35. That's back to where they were about normal again. I think if you're needing copies, it's safe to buy these again. 30 to 40 was kind of ridiculous for these, even though that they were being used in every brute. I think $20 is a fair price for this really strong card. Cast Bones has cooled down a little bit. It was 15 to 20 for the past few weeks of release. I'd say keep an eye out on this one still. I think this one has a little bit more room to drop, probably to the $10 range. It's cooling off though. Remembrance Rainbow Foil. I talked about the non-foil a couple weeks back, but the Rainbow Foil for $5 a piece for a super rare from WTR. These are pretty rare to come by, and they were not reprinted in anything else, and these are pretty much needed in every fatigue matchup. In every deck, basically, other than maybe Ninja that just goes crazy and Wizard that plays their own game plan. I think these are worth picking up. I might have to buy some of these once we get done because these are too cheap. Cash In's cooling off a little bit. It was $5 to $7 since Heavy Hitters announcement and all the gold. I think these still have a room to come back down to like the $2 range, but these are still pretty expensive for a Crucible of War rare, or a rare in general. I think if you absolutely need them, go ahead and get them, because I don't think they're going to cool down for a little bit, because Heavy Hitters has so much gold generation. Similarly, Gorganian Tome, I think the non-foil at 8 or 10, just buy the rainbow foil right now if you're looking for it. $10 for a rainbow foil Gorganian Tome. I think these were pretty hard to come by. This is Crucible Majestic. I think this is a pretty good buy. The rainbow foil also looks really good with these lightings and background. I just got one for Kasai. Really like the card. Gauntlets of Iron Will. These guys are cooling down a little bit. I think these are the first ones to cool down the most. Namely in private sales, these are going for under $40. I think this is, other than the Aurum, this is the second cheapest legendary. I think this was because this is a minor step up from Craterfest. But in private sales, you can probably get these for about $30. Lots of people are trying to sell them, and not very many of them are moving. I just keep an eye out on this. I think this one has a little bit more room to drop. If you could get a pair for $30, I think you go ahead and grab them, because I don't think they're going much lower than that. The Marvels are cooling off as well. Namely the young ones. The young ones keep getting cheaper. I cannot believe KO Marvel Young is $40. That's cheaper than Betsy, and it's probably one of the better Blitz decks in the moment. Also, he's tied with Kasai for the most points for the Deathmatch Arena. I think KO at 40 is an absolute buy. Victor, I think, is really strong in constructed Blitz. I think he probably commands the premium here. I think Kasai is a little bit of a waifu tax at the young one. I could see this one being 60 or so. But Olympia and Betsy are the two middle ground ones here. I think Olympia especially has a little bit more room to fall. Unless there's something I'm missing with Olympia, I think he's a little bit undercooked. James and Brian have both mentioned that he's going to get some more support in the next set in the expansion slot, or in a set coming soon, maybe end of the year set, or maybe a Fab in the box set kind of thing. But they did mention that Olympia is getting more support here soon. I would pick up the adult Olympia at $165. If you could get them for like $140, $150, I think that's a really good price. Betsy continues to drop around $111. I don't think she gets much lower. Maybe 90 is probably her floor. These adults are rarer than the young, from what I've seen and what I've heard from other people. Uh, and I think they just command a slight premium. Kasai's cooling down a little bit. I was able to sell mine for about 485, 490 over the weekend. Um, but yeah, I think these, for the adults especially, I think they cool down to probably 150 is about the low average that they'll go to. And for the ones that are super in the meta, I could see them being around 250. Just keep an eye on these. I think they still have some, especially the adult, the big four here have a lot of room to drop. Um, let's talk a little bit about Runeblade. I don't think Runeblade's in the next set, but their cards are getting pretty cheap. Especially the staples that I think are pretty well in every deck. Revelin Runeblood here, about $5. This is an Everfest Majestic again. I think these probably continue to go down a little bit more, but not much more. Since the next set, I don't think includes Runeblade at all. None of those descriptions or the art or anything led me to believe Runeblade's coming. Sorry, Skippy. But Revelin Runeblood, $5 for a good. There's only one copy there, but 7. I think you'd wait a little bit. I think 5 is a good buy. Swarming Gloomveil, similarly, Everfest Majestic. I think this is a staple that runs in pretty much every Runeblade. $6, I think, is a pretty good price for that. I bought a few. I bought at 8, so I might end up getting a few more of these before the next set. But I don't think this a 0 cost 3 that if it hits, you can't prevent rune chance or arcane damage the rest of the turn. Really good. Sonata is a card for Briar, namely, but I could see this being used in another Runeblade in the future. It's a really good card. Revealing the top and the combo gets you extra arcane damage as well as gold again. It shuffles your deck. I think this card is pretty good for $1. But that is the end of my list today. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Hope you guys have a good day.